You are stronger than the story that tried to claim you. That's the message arriving from Tam Lin, the captive knight of Scottish fairy tale, who steps forward today as the archetype of strength. Hi, love. Welcome to your Timeless Mythos reading. I'm so grateful you're here. Whether you're returning or finding our circle for the very first time, please know you are welcome, wanted, and completely safe here with me and my guides. I'm Christina. I'm a doctor of Chinese medicine and an intuitive channel. And today's reading is going to move through three parts. First is the myth itself, the story of the archetype who came forward for you today. Then the deeper healing themes that it's stirring in your life. And finally, your full reading so you can receive guidance on the shifting dynamics. If this found you, you can trust something in it is meant for you. And because it's a collective reading, just take what resonates and leave the rest. Somebody else needs that part. When something does land, like the video to claim the energy, and if you haven't yet, subscribe so future Mythos messages will tune even more clearly to your frequency. Now let's take a moment and anchor into our awareness of the present moment and step back into the mythos together. This is the story of Tam Lin, the knight who was claimed and then later freed. Before Tam Lin ever belonged to legend, he belonged to himself. He was a young man born with a wild spirit, the kind of boy the forest remembers. He walked through the world with an unguarded heart, brave but untested, bold but unrooted, the kind of person who charges toward life without realizing life sometimes charges back. One night in the deep green hush of the Scottish woods, he crossed an unseen boundary, a threshold where our world touches the realm of the Fae. And in a single breath, he was taken. The Queen of Fairy did not ask permission. She never does. Tam Lin became hers, her knight, her plaything, her possession. She adorned him in finery, fed him enchanted fruits, praised his courage, and kept him by her side. But nothing in fairy is given freely. Every gift is a tether. Every delight has teeth. Over time, Tam Lin's wildness dimmed. He learned to smile while swallowing his fear. He learned to obey to avoid punishment. He learned to stay useful, to stay alive. Anyone who has ever been bound by expectations stronger than their own voice knows this feeling. Years passed. His memories of home blurred into a dream. His own desires became irrelevant. His name, the soul of someone's freedom, became currency in another's kingdom. The Queen reminded him often, "You exist because I allow it, Tam Lin. Your fate is mine to shape." Underneath her beauty was a truth Tam Lin could not ignore. He was not loved. He was owned. Then one night, under Samhain's thinning veil, a young woman entered the woods. Her name was Janet, strong-willed, sharp-minded, unafraid of shadows. Tam Lin saw her, and for the first time in years, something inside him stirred. That part that remembered freedom. That part that remembered himself. Janet asked him who he was, something no one had asked in a very long time. So he told her the truth, that he was trapped, that the Queen planned to sacrifice him to the fires of hell on Halloween night, and that if someone loved him enough to hold him through the terror, through the shape-shifting and screaming and burning, he could be freed. Janet didn't flinch. Love like hers wasn't fragile. It wasn't pretty or passive. It was the kind of love that would fight teeth and fire for the truth. On the night of Samhain, Janet stood at the crossroads as the fairy procession thundered through. She reached out and seized Tam Lin from the Queen's very horse, pulling him into her arms. And without hesitation, the Queen attacked. Tam Lin was thrown into a transformation, a serpent, a wolf, A blazing brand of iron, a creature of thorns, every form meant to terrify Janet into letting go. But still she held true, and that is the heart of this story. Strength is not the absence of fear. It is the refusal to let go of what is true. Finally, the queen lost her hold. After an entire night of enduring just when Janet thought her strength was lost, Tam Lin returned to human shape, gasping in Janet's arms. He was free. This is the mythic medicine he carries. The courage to face what feels unbearable. The strength to endure inner transformation. The reclaiming of oneself from old powers. And the reminder that you were never meant to be owned by what once tried to claim you. His story is your story. If you have ever been shaped by forces stronger than you, if you have ever survived someone else's control, if you have ever feared your own transformation, if you have ever come home to yourself through fire, Tam Lin is strength not because he never broke, but because he reclaimed himself anyway. This archetype speaks to the part of you that endured circumstances stronger than your ability to resist at the time. Overwhelming relationships, controlling dynamics, emotional entanglements, the pressure to be compliant, entire seasons where your choices did not feel like your own, moments where silence felt safer than truth, places where you survived by adapting. These experiences don't make you weak. They reveal the brilliance of your survival. In Chinese medicine, we know strength is not defined by muscle or force. It's defined by the Shen, the heart, mind, spirit, the inner flame that can never be extinguished. When someone or something tries to claim your life force, the heart retreats. It's not to give up, but to protect itself. This withdrawing of the Shen is a brilliant protective strategy. It keeps you breathing. It keeps you alive. It keeps you intact long enough to reclaim yourself later. Tam Lin embodies that reclaiming. The moment he remembered who he was, the moment he spoke his truth to Janet in those woods and asked for help, the moment he let himself be held through terrifying transformation, that was strength. Strength is the courage to come back into yourself after a long season of abandoning your voice to survive. The shadow work here is gentle, not punishing, my love. It asks you to notice, where have you been shape-shifting to stay safe? Where have you complied to avoid conflict? Where has your fire been dimmed to pacify someone else's power? Where have you feared your own transformation because it would cost you old attachments? Where have you forgotten the sound of your own truth? In Taoist cosmology, the moment you reclaim your inner directive, your Ming, your destiny, your qi rearranges itself. You begin to breathe differently. You begin to feel differently. You begin to make decisions that align with your inner river instead of external pressure. Strength, as Tam Lin teaches it, is the willingness to face the truth, the courage to endure the shape-shifting, the refusal to let go of yourself, the ability to accept help, the recognition of your own worth, and the reclaiming of power others tried to hold over you. Real strength is not loud or brash. It is the quiet, unshakable, sovereign presence that grows when you finally take yourself back. Tam Lin brings you this reminder. You are not owned by your past. You are free to become who you truly are, and the fire that rises in you now cannot be taken again. So in this story of Tam Lin and Janet, we see here that our true strength is the truth we refuse to abandon, the truth of ourselves, returning home to ourself, our truest self, and allowing that to be seen in the world, regardless of consequence. The energy underlying this reading today is confidence in the form of the peacock. This is a willingness to allow yourself to be seen, to worry less about what the eyes of others may be seeing or perceiving, and worry more about your own inner state. Allowing yourself, allowing that courage within yourself to let you reclaim the parts that you used to hide in order to stay safe. So many of the what feel like maladaptive or poor behaviors that we engage in, right? The ways that we act out or maybe aren't living up to our own highest potential, the ways we self-sabotage, these come from patterns that we learned for self-protection when we were young. And this confidence combined with strength here, and this story of Tam Lin is really saying that you are not owned by these patterns, behaviors, survival strategies that once had this strong hold on you. Your strength isn't, though, in force. You don't have to battle this in a sort of battle royale against your own spirit. You can bring the truth of yourself back home. The truth of who you are not your defense mechanisms. You never have been. It's okay if that's what others have seen, but allow yourself the confidence. Allow yourself that inner strength to see your own self truly and rely less on the seeing of others. And we see here, okay, you have been very stuck, feeling that it was not safe to really inhabit yourself in any way. So the cards we have here, Queen of Pentacles in reverse, High Priestess in reverse, Seven of Swords in the upright, and Nine of Cups in the reverse. So what I'm seeing in this place where you're coming into this story, into this interaction with Tam Lin, is that you felt that you had to, in order to source internal safety, right? In order to source real safety, material safety, lived safety, you had to abandon your inner knowing. You had to stuff down the feelings in your body, the knowing that you had inside yourself of what is and isn't right for me, what is and isn't true for me. You have had to essentially shut off your intuition and your connection to that larger knowing in order to keep yourself safe. You had to use a strategy, Seven of Swords in the upright. Seven of Swords is all about not taking the direct approach, using a strategy in order to make your way through a battle, through a minefield, through a land, a ground, a territory that was not safe for you. And in the process of doing this, you had to let go of the emotional satisfaction that we experience when we do live our highest truth, when we are authentically aligned, when there's this idea of congruence, when what I feel, what I think, and the way I behave are all aligned. It is this beautiful flow state where I no longer have to think about myself when I'm in situations. I can simply interact with the world as it arrives because I have brought myself into that state of congruence, of feeling my truth and being able to act from that in ways that are simultaneously strong and gentle. This idea of strength, this enduring strength, right? This wasn't brute force strength either from Tam Lin or Janet. Look at this fiery red hair she has and the tartan she's wearing. This is a Scottish folktale, of course. So we see here this notion that this enduring, this strength came in, and it was at a sacrifice, a significant sacrifice of the internal satisfaction and joy that we feel when we're able to be in alignment. And it simply has not felt safe for you, and you haven't had the confidence previously to break out of this dynamic. Now I want to see here what we had from our Numerology deck. This is what we may not be seeing. This is what is hidden beneath this buildup, and what is hidden is this strong energy to go for it. Don't hold yourself back anymore. There's no benefit to you. There is no benefit to you. You can endure the transformation that sets you free, my love. Oh, that just went through me. I'm going to say that again. You can endure the transformation that sets you free. You're allowed to take yourself back. And you don't have to walk this path alone. Go for it. Go for it. Let's see here. We're going to use our Wild Unknown tarot deck and ask Tam Lin this strong, grounded, fierce, self-reclaiming archetype. And what an interesting subversion of the traditional fairy tale. That Tam Lin is a man who had violence done to him by a woman. And it was a woman of a very different type, that gentle, loving, enduring strength that set him free. And not just Janet's, but his own willingness to be vulnerable, to reach out and share the truth, even though it wasn't that he was a brave hero, right? Winning the day in that moment. Oh, okay. A card just dropped very far away. I will get it. If you've seen this before, my table is very high. So when the cards decide to jump far, far away, it's a little bit of a journey for me to get to them, but we will get there. Okay, so we've got 3 cards, and let's pull this baby over. Okay. Oh, and there were 2 here. Look at that. Okay. So most of them came face down with the exception of the card that flew. So big energy on this card, which is 7 of Wands in the upright. 7 of Wands is the challenge that comes after an initial battle is overcome and you have, kind of received the fruits of that particular challenge. And then here is this, I have to hold my ground now. I have the opportunity to hold my ground now. So it's not just that, especially when you've been hiding your own truth, minimizing yourself, right? These are shadow energies. So this is what the invitation into healing is, not to push away our shadow. It's not to judge our shadow. It's instead to see it with clear and compassionate eyes, acknowledge how this has served you in keeping you safe, and then integrate that into yourself. To say, this is a part of me and I will not be ashamed of it. I will not be angry at myself for what I had to do to survive. Instead, I am going to honor that this was a working strategy. It was effective because I'm here and I'm alive. And it's one that I want to integrate and release. I will notice a tendency toward it, and yet I don't have to move toward that. Once it is integrated, it is simply a tool that I have in my toolbox, not the only one that my spirit knows how to reach for. And so we're seeing that here with this. When we decide to let go of people-pleasing, when we decide to stop minimizing our own self, stop hiding my actual truth, there is the first, biggest, hardest part is that decision and beginning to step into it. And yet there are going to be more tests that come. Strength invites challenge. And that's just the nature of this universe, of this world that we all live in together. But you can remember that true strength, it's not force. It's not pushing. It's not fighting. It is my sovereignty. It is my connection to that central core of myself where I know like I know who and what I am. And nothing is going to push me off of that again. Ooh, so we have the Tower in reverse. The 8 of Pentacles. And the 6 of Wands in reverse. Okay, interesting. So Tower energy in the upright is it's a lightning strike. It's a tower falling down. It is a significant and sometimes calamitous shift happening. In this case, I think what we're seeing instead is, with it in the reverse, is that this is, there is that initial moment, right? Some things In order to make a change, some things have to fall. Creation is always preceded by destruction. You're going to have to choose to let some things fall, to let some things go, possibly relationships, possibly aspects of your life that you've built and created, in order to get to this place of your truest self. Because what you've built, the reason the tower falls is that it was built on a faulty foundation. And what you've built to date has, at least in some measure, been about survival and overwhelm, rather than the truth of who you are and your own power and your own soul's mission and desires in this lifetime. So there is an aspect that there are things that you will have to release, components of your life. And the reality is it's not pleasant. I can't tell you how hard it was for me to let go of the things that needed to be let go of, and what a process it was, going from being completely disabled to being someone with no illness of any kind. It was an arduous process of self-confrontation, of self-reclamation. It is not easy. If it was easy, everyone would do it. But it is possible. It is possible. And so this energy, allowing the things to fall that need to fall, you don't have to, once it's all on the ground, okay, we're terrified of the tower. We are terrified of making that decision, of speaking our truth, of letting everything fall apart. But once it's all on the ground, that is when we can look and say, what is actually mine? What do I actually want to claim back in this situation? And what am I just going to let stay there for someone else to pick up? Or to simply dissolve back into the ground over time? Because it isn't mine, and I don't want it, and I will not carry it or hold it up any longer. So we see this allowing of that to happen, and that again, you'll have to stand in a number of challenges after that. But you have the strength to do it. You are not owned by what claimed you. And what's more, you are significantly stronger than what you have survived, because you're here. You are significantly stronger. Healing is not fun, okay? It's not. It's the worst. It is the absolute worst. The only thing worse than healing is not getting to heal. Now, here you are. There are parts of this that are just not a good time, but you are stronger than the patterns that you had to develop in order to survive. You are stronger than this process because you've already been through the worst. You can endure these challenges. And then we see Eight of Pentacles. Eight of Pentacles is that energy. You see this beautiful spider in her web. When you are building something absolutely like beautiful and intricate. Oh my gosh. And you get to the point where you're sort of asking yourself, what on earth was I thinking? Like, it's the sticking point. It's the point when things are hard and you just have to keep going, even though you're not seeing the fruits of your labor yet, but you have to keep applying yourself repeatedly over and over. That's that energy. So it's this endurance energy, this strength energy. Tam Lin could not let go. He was close. He was close to letting go, and then he reached out one more time. Janet was close to losing her strength as she held this man who was transforming into horrible, terrifying, monstrous creatures all through the night as the fairy queen battled her with awful magic, with malintent, with maliciousness, and yet she held. She didn't cut, she didn't battle, she didn't, bludgeon. She simply held to the truth. There is a man I love in here. I will not let go. This is the energy. There is a person you love inside of these challenges. There is a joy in the experience of your truest self, your inner confidence, the brightness and the light that your spirit came here to express in this lifetime. Hold fast through it. And finally, we have the Six of Wands in reverse. You have to let go in this process of other people's approval. This compliance, this people pleasing that you've been stuck in. It came from a desire to keep yourself safe. But that isn't true safety. Safety earned through compliance is just pushing away the terrible thing, like pushing it down the road a little. It's not actual safety. Real safety in relationship, in life, comes when each of us belongs as we are. Each of our power is welcome in that space. There are people who are not going to like it when you begin reclaiming your own power, when you start saying, actually, no, I'm not going to do this, even though I know it would make you happier. They are going to be unhappy with that because you are shifting a dynamic. And you have to be willing to let them feel their own feelings, to have enough confidence and strength in yourself to allow they can have their anger and I can allow it. They can have their frustration, their sadness. I can allow them their experience and be safe even though they're having it. Safe inside myself. Now, love, if you are in a situation that is not physically safe, if I think I'm picking up someone here because I'm hearing this. If you are in a situation that is not physically safe, you must get to physical safety before this, okay? I am in no way encouraging you to take any action that would impinge on your physical safety. When I'm talking about safety here and self-reclamation, I'm talking about emotional safety. You must secure your physical safety first. If you are in a situation that is not physically safe, please reach out for help. There are so many resources out there. I promise you there are. Okay, so I'm going to, with respect, disengage from that thread of energy. And coming back to this, looking at this, letting go of the people-pleasing, stopping the self-minimizing and allowing that they can have their own experience, and it is safe for you to allow that, to allow them to manage their own emotions through that experience while you mind your own side of the street. If a relationship can be destroyed by your truth, then it deserves to be destroyed. Because there is a better one coming where you can actually be who you really are and you will be respected and loved and admired for that instead of despite it. I'm going to get one more card, one more message from the universe to close out this reading. Okay, there's so many. We're going to take those 3. Oh my goodness. Tam Lin, ground yourself in your courage and whale memory. Remember who you are. Remember who you are. Ground yourself first, turtle. This connection to our inner self, grounding into the present moment, grounding into your knowledge of yourself, and bringing forward this lioness courage. You have it. That is what strength is. Courage is not the absence of fear. It is perseverance in the presence of fear. And whale memory. Remember who the hell you are, my love. Who you were born as. The memory of yourself was written on your spirit before you were a twinkle in your mama's eye. There is a you who is connected to the divine. You are a child of the divine. You are a part of the divine. And you came here for an experience. And part of the experience has been this forgetting of yourself, has been this exploration of the shadow, of this people-pleasing, of this hiding of yourself. And part of that experience that you came here for is reclamation, is remembering who the hell you are, readjusting your crown, having the courage to take your own life back and live in your truth without apology. If you want to receive the deeper energetic transmission from today's archetype, I've channeled a couple messages for you. They're linked in the description box below. When you're ready, check them out for more support. Thank you for being here, love. Thank you for showing up for your own story with courage and an open heart. And until next time, be gentle with yourself, okay?